days away from the first midterms of Donald Trump's second term. We're following results in these key primary races across 4 states, not just one, that are going to shape the state of the opposition party, the Democrats, in their first nationwide challenge to President Trump's power in November. The results of tonight's elections in Maryland, in South Carolina, in Utah, and especially in New York are going to have tremendous implications for what happens in November and beyond. It's not just about whether Democrats have the ability to snatch back control of one or both chambers of Congress. It's a referendum on the first 2 years of the president's term, a first chance for real accountability. If you want to know how high the stakes are, just ask Donald Trump. This is what he told Republicans it would mean for him if Republicans lose control of Capitol Hill.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached.
I'll get impeached. In the 18 months since Donald Trump took the reins.
No, that would be so awful. Ugh. Can you guys imagine if that happened? No, I would hate that. Ugh.
Of the federal government, he's taken this country.
Also, I love the idea of like find a reason. It's like, brother, this is not a needle in a haystack situation. This is a piece of hay in a haystack, man.
For a ride it didn't sign up for. He's launched a war that he said he would not launch. His policies have raised the cost of living instead of lowering it, and he's weaponized a justice system that he claims was weaponized against him. As Trump fully admitted in that clip you just heard, he fears accountability. And that is precisely what this year's elections are all about. An opportunity for the American people to reclaim some amount of power to restrain Donald Trump's anti-democratic ambitions. Every single primary race between now and November will give us a better sense of how that's going to play out, which brings us back to New York. The state of New York has 26 districts, almost none of which will change hands in November, except perhaps for one. New York's 17th congressional district, which offers Democrats one of their best chances of flipping a Republican seat to Democratic this year. It's currently held by the Republican Mike Lawler. But there's another intriguing dynamic unfolding in the state that's worth keeping an eye on, because it will shape the future of the Democratic Party and how it'll function as an opposition party during the second half of Donald Trump's term. And that fight is happening in the heart of New York City in 3 safe Democratic districts, where the city's mayor, Zohran Mamdani, has tested his influence in federal elections for the first time just 6 months into his tenure. His chosen slate of congressional candidates is small, but they have the opportunity of shaking up the Democratic Party in a big way. Brad Lander's decisive win over Dan Goldman in New York 10 tonight makes Goldman the first Democratic incumbent to be ousted so far this election cycle by a true outside primary challenger. The only other 2 Dems who...
So I want to say something really quickly. There was a period of time a while ago, back during the Osei days, where I think a lot of people were questioning some of what Mamdani was doing, which is reasonable, by the way. And all of you should never have like blatant trust for any politician ever. Unconditional trust for a politician. And they should always be held accountable as much as you like them. As much as I like Mamdani, I want more and more criticism, as much criticism as we can get for every single candidate, forever. But one of the things I remember he got a lot of flack for was like the Chiosei stuff, and not necessarily immediately fighting Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, etc. And I think I said at the time, I'm sure there's a VOD of it, that like, I do trust him and I trust his team, and they've made a lot of great decisions, both marketing wise, but also policy wise, that I think they should be given at least a little bit of leeway to try out what they want to try out, because there's a good chance that there are conversations happening in the back that will make the actions that are occurring today make sense. So we should at least give just a little bit of time to see what happens. And one of the things I also said was that you, as Mamdani, you don't want to go all in against the Democratic Party, right? If your goal is to reshape the Democratic Party and you haven't even proven anything yet because you haven't been elected yet, or you haven't been in office yet, first you want to show everyone, first you want to get people online saying, I want that to be my fucking mayor, man. Why do I live in this fucking shithole state? Why do I live in like Alabama? I want to live in New York with Mamdani, dude. I want my mayor to be Muslim. I want my bagels to be Jewish. I want to root for the Knicks, man. Come on. First, you want to get all of that momentum and all that positive energy for socialist candidates. Show that these policies actually work. Show that people actually like these people.
The mullet rolls are gone, people.
Team small camera. Stop. Thank you for the 20 given subs. Oh. I was saying all alone to trust the process. Yeah, I mean, like, I remember saying that, like, these things should be criticized and we should keep a close eye on Mamdani and whether or not he ends up delivering and why he has decided to root for or work with, for example, like Kathy Hochul. And we shouldn't just like ignore that stuff because we like the positive things that he's done. But if there is a strategy, I'm willing to give him like 6 months to show me what the strategy is. And I remember thinking at the time, this like Brad Lander, what's the term for it? Where they like mutually endorsed each other. I get maybe like co-endorsing for the mayoral race because it's ranked choice voting in New York for mayor. I was like, I feel like this doesn't benefit Brad Lander as much as it benefits Mamdani. I was thinking at the time, I was like, why would, like, I guess like Brad Lander benefits from having any sway. Because if Brad Lander isn't a fucking moron, cross-endorsed, there we go. I was like, if he's not a moron, he has to know that, like, being Jewish, endorsing Mamdani as he's getting flack for being anti-Semitic is actually only it's gonna help Mamdani and more than it will help Brad Lander, right? Like, yeah, Brad Lander then gets to be, like, cross-endorsed by the guy who is mayor of New York City if he thought he was going to win, which is beneficial for him because now it gives him some sway. And also, it makes all the other candidates look like fucking losers and it makes him stand out against the crowd. But I was like, I wonder if there's, like, a longer play happening here. So I'm not shocked at all that this is what happened. I'm not shocked at all that there was a cross-endorsement and Mamdani probably guaranteed that he would endorse Brad Lander later down the line. You're not factoring in that Cuomo was the alternative and people hate Cuomo. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about why why Brad Lander would choose to cross-endorse with Mamdani. I'm not talking about why people voted for Mamdani. I know why people voted Mamdani. Like, no. And I think it makes Brad Lander look like he teams up with winners. So I think it's good for his image and it's good for marketing. But I'm not shocked at all that, like, oh, yeah, backroom deals between candidates. He's got that shit under wraps, too. And it's not to the detriment of people so that he can have more power. So I don't know, it's cool. Over the last 6 months, we've seen strategically he's moving. And while we've all had our valid concerns, his tactics seem to be paying out in the form of electoral wins and legislative changes. I hope that trend continues and ends up paying out with police reform or more. 100%. Correct. He also, I wanted to say something else. As a socialist from Oregon, I'm beyond frustrated by the Dems in my state. We voted to decriminalize all drugs, just only for our Democratic governor to override that. Now they swoon data center developers while giving subsidies to landlords. I'm sorry, dude. Well, I'm hoping that some socialists eventually take over Oregon, all right? You guys deserve that. It's also about shutting out Cuomo in any case. I mean, I don't think, like, if your goal is to hold political office, you care more about holding political office than preventing somebody else from having political office. If your goal is to make sure Cuomo doesn't win, you could easily just spend that same money or fundraise for a different candidate. You don't need to run yourself, right? So let me see this. Let me pull this up. Wait 1 second. June 13, 2025. Do the right thing, Brad. Endorse Zoran and you will be reincarnated as a New York 10 congressman. You did it, Brad. You will be reincarnated. That's dope. Low-key baller to lose the mayorship and say fuck it and become a congressman. Yeah. And like, think about how great of a position Mamdani was in for this, where it's like, or even Brad Lander was. So Brad Lander siding and seeing that the tides are shifting and being like, the tides are turning, whatever the term is, and saying, oh, okay, yeah, people are going to go Mamdani. Like, it's just a matter of time. He's too likable. He's got too much swag. His money long. His bitch is bad. Like, there's no way. There's just no way that he doesn't win the mayorship. I want this guy on my side. I want this guy to endorse me. Okay, I can't hold this. Okay, unlucky for me. I ran for mayorship in New York in an election that I was fated to lose. Okay. But people like Mamdani. I'm better off having one Mamdani endorsement than having like 40 shit lib Democrats endorsing me. Like, wait, this is so worth it. Okay, I will cross endorse. I will help his image because people keep smearing him as anti-Semitic. I'm going to lose, and that's fine. And then I can run later. And now everyone knows me as like the pro Mamdani guy, and then Mamdani's backing me. So genuinely, really, really dope, I have to say. The fact that like establishment Dems have tried so hard to shove progressive candidates to the side and to ignore the candidates. I can't believe, I think it was, was it Cory Booker? I think it was Cory Booker. Wasn't it Cory Booker who said like, yeah, well, New York is New York's business. You know, I'm here for Jersey, okay? And I'm not in the habit of endorsing New York candidates. It's like, you fucking liar. You endorse candidates that aren't from Jersey all the time. You just don't like Mamdani. Fuck you. What the hell? You sack of shit. You fucking liar. You weasel little fucking liar. And the fact that they tried so hard to shove the Socialists out of the party and to make it as unwelcome as possible and to shove Mamdani out, they did everything in their fucking power, which is, by the way, doing basically nothing, to be like, please don't vote for him. Please don't vote for him. Please don't vote for him. But Mamdani has so much pull and so much motion that it's like, yeah, okay, well then what if my endorsement is worth 40 of yours and your endorsements? What if Mamdani's endorsement becomes more valuable than like Cory Booker and Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and all these other people? What if my one endorsement is more powerful than all of those? What if I become the kingmaker? Then what would you do? Then what? Yeah. And then it literally became that. Dude, this is dope. Yes. You guys don't understand how big it is for me, man. This is like this is like everything I could have wanted and more, you know? New York City post 9/11 actually being welcoming to Muslim people. Like going out of their way to chant like my mayor Muslim, like actually brings a tear to my eye. So dope. That we can actually like potentially, because I'm going to be honest, post the 2024 election, honestly the 2020 election, honestly the 2016 election, I was kind of like, I won't ever give in to doomerism, but that was the closest that I got. That was oh, hi, Mayor Cat. You're so fat. Okay, can you not move the camera, though? Is it bothering you because it's too big? All right. You're blocking it now. I can tell it's bothering you because it's too big. Look at him. Look at him. I want to give him something, but I have nothing to give him. Still unlocked by my own cat. Anyways, actually, we're in the cat's way. Oh, sorry, my bad. I was so close to that point that I left the country and stayed in Vietnam for 2 months. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I was very close. I was basically as close as I could get to accelerationism. And I was basically as close as I could get to like, we're probably fucked. Like the country's probably fucked. Like, I don't know that we can salvage this, but again, you never give in. You never give in to doomerism, ever. All right? Never, 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 ever. Because that's loser mentality and that's loser behavior. All right? Doomerism is the enemy. Yep. Mm-hmm. Also, one principle I don't like. I don't like when the bad guys win. I don't know how else to explain that. Like, if the Republican pedophile billionaire elites are gambling on all of us giving in to doomerism, then that is the number one thing I won't do. If that's what they're all trying to get us to, if that's what the pedophile billionaires are trying to get us to do, that's what I absolutely will not do, on spite alone. Staying hopeful out of spite. Exactly. Exactly. All right, let me close this stuff. Hold up. Okay. And then I had this. Wait, no, not this. Close. 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 Yes, good. Let's get back to where we were.
Lost in primaries were driven out by Republican gerrymandering in Texas, in which they ran against one another or one against a former incumbent. Moments ago, Goldman delivered his concession speech and offered this reminder.
Let's remember, the enemy to all that we want and all that we hope for is in the White House, not in our own party.
Less than an hour ago, Adriano Espaillat, the dean of the New York Latino Politics and the head of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, became the second Democratic incumbent to go down to defeat at the hands of an outside challenger. He lost his race to Daria Liza Avila Chevalier, also backed by Mamdani. Meanwhile, Claire Valdez's victory in New York's 7th congressional district gave Mamdani 3 victories out of 3 and solidified his influence in this moment in time on New York City politics. Again, none of these districts will change hands. The Democrats who won in New York tonight will almost entirely become members of Congress for their districts. But who is driving Democratic politics, Democratic Party politics in November has huge.
And it's so funny that the Democratic, can we watch this later? Yes, Sarnix. Yes, we will get to that after this stuff. I have to say, can we just keep saying the winners' names over and over again? I know, right? But I need to say, first of all, God, does it feel good to win. Second, the centrist, the establishment Democrats, aka the Republicans that are pretending to be Democrats, being like, you know, everyone thinks this is a big win. However, excuse you. Okay, nothing has changed. They're not even these stupid, sexy socialists. They're not even trying to get red states, okay? Or like red seats. It's like, yeah, that's because the Democrats just vote with the Republicans in Congress like 99% of the time anyways. You just have like literally the rotating villain that's like, oh, who was it? It was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to blank on this name. The person behind one of the co-sponsors of the War Powers Act regarding Iran ended up voting against the bill that they co-sponsored. Was it Joe Manchin? Because they realized they didn't have enough votes. And they were like, oh, okay, I know I proposed that we like not go to war with Iran, but I changed my mind. No, I changed my mind actually. I was kidding when I said that. It was either Cinema or Manchin. I'm pretty sure it was Joe Manchin. I might be mistaken on the name. Oh, shocker. People don't want just someone who's a Democrat sitting as their congressperson. They want someone who actually will vote in a way that benefits them. It was Golden? Maybe you're right. Hold up. Let me pull it up. I think it was it the War Powers resolution? Oh, Cinema and Mansion have been out of office? Wait, who the fuck am I thinking of? Why are people suggesting Mansion? I'm trying to find the... I'll have to find it. Hold up. These are most recent updates that have changed. Might be... Let me play this while I look for this.
Implications, not just for Democrats, but for the whole country. Because the struggles for control of Congress is not just Republican versus Democrat. It's also about progressives versus moderates, outsiders versus the establishment, and crucially, who can actually win in November. And that's what tonight's elections are going to help us unravel. So let's get to it. Joining me for the hour to unpack tonight's results, Puck contributor Abby Livingston, former New York Congressman Max Rose. He represented New York's 11th district, covering all of Staten Island and parts of southern Brooklyn. Former New York Congressman Mondaire Jones. He represented New York's previous 17th district, which saw significant changes after redistricting in 2022. And Charlotte Alter, journalist, author of the New Humanism Project on Substack. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here on such an important night. And Congressman, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to ask you first, because there are a lot of people who don't live in New York and may not care about what happened here, especially since virtually none of these districts will change hands. Only one in the entire state is likely to change hands. Why is this important this night?
Look, the most important outcome tonight was the Democratic primary in my old district, the 17th congressional district. Obviously, it's very different now post 2 cycles of redistricting in the past 4 years than it was at the time I represented it. Otherwise, I'd still be in Congress right now. There's a Republican in that district. And
that's Mike Lawler.
That's Mike Lawler.
And he's what you might think of these days as a moderate Republican.
He is someone, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people, that a lot of folks in the press sort of give credit to as being a moderate, despite his voting record being lockstep with Donald Trump. He has succeeded in a way few others have at convincing people of the lie that he is somehow independent of Donald Trump. But what we saw tonight in the statement that he issued after the primary election result is a challenge of Kate Conley, now the Democratic nominee, to 6 different debates following the July 4th holiday. That is not the posture of someone who is feeling confident about his prospects in the general election. He's clearly got polling showing that he is vulnerable to defeat against Kate Conley.
And we've seen that. Max Rose, we don't describe your old district as being in play, but you did represent it not that long ago. Talk to me about what this night means to you. I suspect you might be a little worried about the direction the Democratic Party took in New York tonight.
Well, I mean, first of all, I know what Kate Connolly is going through right now. I remember winning my primary in 2018 and thinking, shows like this would talk about me, and then AOC wins her primary that night too, and I'm like, no one ever heard about Max Rose that night. You're welcome. So we have to make sure we're talking about Kate Connolly,
because she might be the only flip
ahead, because it's the Kate Connollys that are a pathway to Hakeem Jeffries becoming Speaker, and we should not forget that. And Kate will not be inviting one of the 3 Mamdani endorsed individuals who won their primary. She will not be inviting one of them to campaign with her in her swing district. So we should always remember those dynamics. But with that being said, though, let's also highlight those individuals who lost their races today. No one can claim that Antonio Reynoso, Adriano Espaillat, or Dan Goldman were not leading progressives. These were not moderates by any sense of the word here. So this is something very different that's happening in the Democratic Party that's far more, I don't know if it's associated with vibes. I don't know if it's associated with Israel, but someone drew a line in the sand. DSA drew a line in the sand in these races and said, you're not with us. And that's really what caused this.
So you are worried.
Classic being progressive about everything. As long as you just ignore, genocide. Famously, genocide is something that you can just it's really not that big of an issue. You can just kind of ignore it. You can just ignore it. Yeah, it's if Mamdani said his favorite ice cream flavor was chocolate, he would be wrong. And, I would be sad by that news. But that would be okay. Like we can just look past his failures. And, move on. Just move on from that. I don't know that that's like, I don't know that applies to like genocide. I don't know. I don't think you can just like be Can you imagine being like, I'm progressive other than being pro-slavery? You what? No. I'm a very progressive person. I just, think that we should enslave some people. Huh? I don't think you know what being progressive means. No. I'm progressive. I just think all gay people should have no rights and should stay in the closet forever. But I'm progressive except for that thing. That I'm just, yeah. Yeah, it's just that's what the fuck? What's better than chocolate? Literally every other flavor. Chocolate is a secondary, it's like an additive for ice cream, okay? Right? You can add chocolate into an ice cream that exists. What's the one where they what's that one? No, not mint chip. Mint chip is a controversial ice cream. They're going to eat you up for this one? Who cares? They eat chocolate ice cream. They don't even have good taste. Sorry. Chocolate, yeah. Cookie dough is a great example where I want chocolate chunks in my cookie dough ice cream, but I don't want just chocolate. If I wanted chocolate, I would just have chocolate, Mocha almond fudge. See, now we're spitting. Wait, now do you see what I mean? I'm only correct about this. All right. Chocolate as an additive to a pre-existing ice cream. Excellent. Chocolate on its own, it's yeah, I guess. Chocolate on its own is also good. I mean, I come in and it's straight blasphemy. Sorry, my bad.
Worried a little bit.
I wouldn't say that I'm worried about the general elections because we're continuing to nominate people in swing districts that can and will win. That's really all I care about.
So, Abby, Max says that Kate Connolly will help Hakeem Jeffries become Speaker. I'm not sure, but I think all three of the Mamdani endorsed candidates tonight have said that's actually on the table, whether Mamdani or Schumer. Some have said they will not support either of them. Obviously, there are no Senate candidates tonight. How's this playing in Washington?
I think the most important thing to think about is that winning the House might be the easier step for Leader Jeffries. And so most party leaders build their support based on their state delegations. And to have some folks in his district or in his city who he didn't support means they don't have personal loyalty to him. So whether it's the speaker's vote or future votes, it's going to be hard for him to count votes with the margin. And the reason is because of this Republican redistricting. This should be a very big year for Democrats, but this redistricting has shrunk it. So Hakeem Jeffries may have the same kinds of problems that Speaker Mike Johnson has had in getting his rebels in line on the big votes.
And later on, we're going to talk about what it will take for Democrats to win back the House. Charlotte Alter, Dan Goldman made a point in his remarks, and he said the enemy is not within. I happen to take the view that debates like these are healthy for a political party if you'd like to actually function as a political party in a Big Tent. Some take a view that this is damaging to Democrats at a time that they have to win back the House.
Listen, I think that you can't separate what happened tonight from what's been happening in New York City for the last 6 months, which is a kind of Mamdani honeymoon, a Mamdani moon. People in this city love Zohran Mamdani. Look at the way people poured into the streets when the Knicks won. Look at the way the city has felt different in the last couple months since he's been mayor at a time.
No, it's anti-Semitism. No.
When the rest of the country feels like it's falling apart. So I think I agree with my co-panelists here. I know that this is going to have a huge impact on what's happening in Washington. I think it's going to, say a lot about the direction of the party. But I also want us to pause on this night and recognize that what happened tonight is related to the way that politics in New York City has changed. And that's actually a very positive story for Democrats. It's one of the most positive stories for Democrats in the country because people are really happy with how things are going in this city. Mamdani's approval rate is like near 80%. The vibes are good in a moment where almost everywhere else the vibes are really bad.
Can I make a caveat to that?
Yeah.
If we have time.
This has nothing to do with Mamdani when the Knicks won. Wrong. Mamdani is the only reason they won. I'm sorry. How many years did they go being an L-ass team? And then suddenly we have Mamdani and suddenly they're winning. Yeah.
So that plus people still think very poorly of the Democratic Party's brand. And you had two incumbent Democratic members of Congress who were viewed to be part of the establishment, insufficiently leading on a number of issues that matter to the specific electorates in their respective districts. And I think that did play a role when faced with dynamic, oftentimes younger challengers, not always.
He cursed the Mets? Dude, nobody cares about baseball. Like, I need you to grow up. Everyone bringing up baseball, grow up. All right? Stop it. Basketball is a superior sport. Stop it.
Oftentimes younger challengers who were speaking to the moment, if you will, of this just outrage, not just at Republicans in Washington, but at Democrats who a lot of folks perceive to not be fighting sufficiently hard enough.
Hold that thought. We're going to come back in just a moment with Abby Livingston, Max Rose, Mondaire Jones, and Charlotte Alter.
All right, thank you. But also, let me just say really quickly on the topic of Mamdani and on the topic of Knicks, like the Knicks. People underestimate how nice it is to have like a candidate or to have a mayor or to have like a governor that not only does things that benefit you. I mean, he's cut the deficit in half in less than 6 months. The New York City deficit was 12. Was it? I think it was 12. Was it billion or it wasn't definitely not million. New York City deficit. Okay, let me see this article. Yeah, this is what I had seen. Let me pull it up. Maybe I can pull this up as well. Yeah, so he had released this. Mayor Zohran Mamdani releases $124 billion executive budget for fiscal year 2027. That is meant to close the $12 billion budget deficit right now, increasing budget gaps. Where is it? Mayor identified $1.2 billion in savings by addressing systemic inefficiencies in critical programs. Thanks to Governor Kathy Hochul, Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, and Assembly Speaker. Okay, let's just skip ahead. The city secured an additional $4 billion in state support. That includes $352 million in direct aid, $3.2 billion in state authorizations, including pension liability, restructuring, class size, flexibility mentioned above, $500 million in new revenue through a pied-à-terre tax. In addition to the pied-à-terre tax, the mayor will work with Speaker Julie Menon and the city council on their proposal. And then here are the proposed. Okay. This isn't the article I'm looking for. Wait. Here it is, this one. That's like official New York City website. So let's see this one. Pull this up right here. There we go. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani on Tuesday unveiled a $124 billion budget that he said he would close a projected $12 billion deficit over the next 2 years without drawing from the city's rainy day reserves, raising property taxes, or making major cuts to social services. Plan relies heavily on state aid, delayed pension plans, raising. Oh my God! Of course, the Time would report this, but it's fine. was closed with the help of Kathy Hochul, who provided $7.6 billion in state aid. So all that's to say, he adopted a $12 billion deficit. And I'm pretty sure right now, 6 months in, it's down to like $5 billion was the last thing I checked. The proposed plan will destroy it and there will be no deficit. But I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, it was down to $5 billion. Let me double check. Maybe here? No. Wait. Not this one. This one. Oh, I forgot I have some hogwatch for you guys. Where is it? Guys, I feel like a boomer. I'm like out of practice. Haven't streamed in so long. Can't even pull up links anymore. What the hell? My streamer's fucking washed. Dude, I fucking hate the New York Post. I hate the New York Post so much. Look at what they're fucking posting. What? The young and the clueless, just 7% of voters, mostly white and under 30, pick Israel-hating radicals to represent Democrats. It was only 7% and you guys still failed? That sounds like an L issue on your guys' part. That's tough. That's tough. How can they pick him being only 7%? Yeah. Bro, the slander is just not good anymore, man. So clueless, but voted on an issue. Well, they don't know. They don't know that what they're doing is bad for Israel conducting a genocide. And that's not okay. Whatever. I'll try and like find this post talking about it a little bit further. But beyond that, for one moment, besides having good policies that actually work, that actually improve people's lives, where people actually see it on a personal level, like you actually see the potholes on your street getting fixed. Your landlord is actually fixing the apartment you live in for the first time in like however many years you've lived in New York City. Besides on the personal level, besides the fact that the policy is good, Mamdani unveils sites for 5 more World Cup watch parties. The newest 5 watch parties will be held, and then he lists a bunch of places: June 26th, July 2nd, July 7th, July 10th, and July 15th, all in different places. And I'm pretty sure this is the exact same thing that happened with the Knicks games, that there were public watch parties available that Mamdani wanted to guarantee for people to be able to enjoy. Like actually increasing community activity. Oh, let me see. Knicks watch parties. Here it is. Mayor Mamdani opens door to larger Knicks watch parties at Madison Square Garden. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is opening the door to larger Knicks watch parties at Madison Square Garden, despite a disagreement with the team's owner that led to the cancellation of Game 4's watch party outside MSG. Mayor Mamdani visited a tiny Mexican restaurant to watch the opening of the World Cup on Thursday, but many New Yorkers are still in the grips of the Knicks fever, and the mayor says he understands that. Like, I don't know, man. When we're talking about everything that a mayor can do and that your elected officials can do for you, it's not just the fact that he's like having good policy that you can't see and having good policy that you can see, but also it's about the smaller things in life, dude. It's about like, oh, you actually care about the things that we care about. What the fuck? He actually personally told my mom that she had to let me stay up late to watch the basketball game.